Good morning. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the May 27th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I'll be presiding as the hearing officer over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Colleen Marshall. She's with the Development Services Department, and she'll introduce other staff members, and then we'll come back to me and go over hearing procedures. Ms. Marshall.
Good morning, Colleen Marshall, Development Services. To my left is Mary Dorman of the Hillsborough County Attorney's Office. Carmen Mason, Development Services staff, is joining us virtually today, and Alexis Myers, the Planning Commission staff, will be presenting virtually as well. During the course of the hearing, a number of other staff planners will be presenting their findings for various cases will be introduced for each item.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Our hearing today consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a land use hearing officer. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a decision within 15 business days following today's hearing. Our hearing today is informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate and decide all questions of procedure. I'll take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all evidence must be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding by me unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation today is as follows. The Development Services staff will go first and present their staff findings for a period of 5 minutes. We'll then go to the applicant. The applicant has 15 minutes to make their presentation. Next up, proponents. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of an application, total time 15 minutes. The same is true next when we go to opponents. Anyone who would like to speak against an application, everyone together, 15 minutes. We'll circle back to the Development Services Department, who has 5 minutes to address any issues or questions that may have come based on today's testimony. And then finally, the applicant has the last word with 5 minutes for rebuttal. The majority of our cases today are variances, and that is the order it will go in. The very last case is a special use case, and the only difference in that is the applicant goes first, and then Development Services. Everything else is the same. All right. I don't think we have this issue based on the people in the room, but we do also have people participating online. So I will stress to you that the section for proponents and opponents is total 15 minutes. So when we get to that section, I will ask you to raise your hand if you plan to speak in favor or against an application. I will count how many people want to speak, and we will divide that 15 minutes as equally as we can to give everybody a chance. When you come to, if you're either in the room or online, when you are going to speak, if you could start by giving us your name and address for the record. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure we have it appropriate to the case that you're testifying to. If you're in the room, when you're done speaking, if you could see Allison and Bethany over there from the clerk's office, if you could raise your hands, ladies, thank you. They are also keeping a written log of who is speaking. So when you are done, see them and sign in with your name, address, and the case number to which you spoke. All right, let me then now turn to Ms. Dorman. She's with the County Attorney's Office, and she will provide the legal requirements for appealing a decision made by a land use hearing officer. Ms. Dorman.
Okay. Good morning. Mary Dorman from the County Attorney's Office. This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance and special use requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the land use hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed, and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision of the land use hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the land use officer be appealed, the record evidence, including the testimony presented at this public hearing, shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Land Use Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision decision on petitions, the Land Use Appeals Board will only consider the decision of the Land Use Hearing Officer and the record evidence, including any evidence from this public hearing. Yeah, am I okay? Okay. If an appeal is filed, the Land Use Appeals Board hearing shall consist of oral argument by the party appealing the decision. It's very echoey.
That's what I said.
Yeah, county staff and any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the Land Use Hearing Officer or to intervene in an appeal. 1, the applicant, or 2, anyone who appeared before the Land Use Hearing Officer, presented testimony or other evidence, and is adversely affected by the decision of the Land Use Hearing Officer. It is the role of the County Attorney's Office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the Land Use Appeals Board that was not presented to the Land Use Hearing Officer at today's hearing. The County Attorney will recommend that the Land Use Appeals Board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside the record created at today's hearing. Any evidence presented to the Land Use Appeals Board that is outside the record could jeopardize the legality of the Land Use Appeals Board decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action, then, is for you to write down any comments you make today and repeat them to the Land Use Appeals Board.
Thank you, Ms. Dorman. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath, so if you plan to speak today, if you could please stand and raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you so much. Please have a seat. All right, then with that, Ms. Marshall, we're ready to call the first case.
I realized we didn't go over the withdrawals and continuances.
Oh, I didn't think we were doing that anymore. I apologize.
For Lujo, I think we started.
Okay, fair enough. That's why I didn't call on it. Sorry.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Item A1, variance 241128. The applicant is Rolando Santiago. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the June 23rd, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A2, special use 241335. The applicant is David Wright, TSP Companies Incorporated. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the June 23rd, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A3, variance 250563. The applicant is Manuel A. Alagia. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the June 23rd, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A4, variance 250589. The applicant is Anthony Gonzalez. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the June 23rd, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A5, variance 250635. The applicant is Juan Madrid. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the June 23rd, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A6, special use 250668. The applicant is Greencoat Market LLC. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the June 23rd, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. That concludes the continuances.
All right, so we're ready to call that first case.
On today's agenda, we have no vested rights, fee waivers, remands, reconsideration requests, or site development variance requests, which brings us to Section G, sign variance request. Item G1, variance 250521. The applicant is Dick's Sporting Goods Incorporated. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Michelle Montebato.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Montebato, Development Services. The applicant is requesting sign variances to accommodate 2 proposed building signs. The applicant is proposing 2 building signs, one on the south elevation, one on the north elevation. They are both proposed to be 282.57 aggregate total sign area, square footage. The allowance of both is 200 square feet of aggregate sign area. The former tenant had a master sign plan allowance for more than 200 square feet, but since that provision is no longer contained in the LDC, the new tenant must comply with the current code requirements. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're having some audio issues that we're trying to solve up here. Allison, do you need us to take a break for a second? She's having feedback in her mic.
Is it too loud?
It's too loud.
The clerk. audio down loud, please. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 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 check. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay. All right.
We're good? Okay. All right, then we'll call on the applicant for the case. Good morning.
How you doing? Good morning. Do I state the address to where the store is opening, or my address?
Whatever address you'd like to give us.
Okay.
Just your
All
name
right.
and address of your
Yeah,
choosing.
You got it. My name is Jason Fremsky. I'm from National Fusion Brands. Our address is 130 Alms House Road, Suite 200B, Richboro, PA 18954. We are a national sign vendor for Dick's Sporting Goods. We are doing their new store that's opening at 686 Brandon Town Center Drive, Brandon, Florida 33511. We are here seeking a variance for to increase the sign, the allowance, the sign square footage allowance from 200 square feet to 282.57 square feet at 2 different elevations. The standard for Dick's Sporting Goods is lettering is of that. They're 8-foot letters, and we're hoping that we would get approved to install them.
Okay. I saw in the narrative for your application that there was an existing Sears sign.
Yes.
That it currently exceeds.
Correct.
By about 70 square feet, I believe, each side.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And then my only question was, are all of those Dick's signs, they're all 8 feet?
So it's the lettering. It's just the DICK apostrophe and the S. Well, really just the S, not the apostrophe, is the 8-foot. And then there's a tagline underneath. Altogether is 282 square feet.
But that signage is universal to all the Dick's House of Sports?
Yes,
that are
yeah, it's their standard based off of this the structure and the background size. That's their standard lettering for that size structure.
All right, that was my only question.
That's it.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to sign in with the clerk's office. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll call for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? All right, seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to this request? No one? All right. Development Services, Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All
Thank you.
right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Okay, then thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0656 and go to the next case.
This brings us to Section H, variance request. Item H1, variance 250591. The applicant is Eddie Young. The request is a variance to lot development standards. And staff findings will be presented by Jared Fullen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a variance request for required front and side yard setbacks to accommodate an existing single-family home. Property is addressed on 2004 East 151st Avenue. This property was approved for a non-conforming lot review. It is zoned AS1, but it does follow the RSC 6 lot development standards. For the front yard, they're asking for a 5-foot variance for 20 feet. And then for the side yard, it is a 7.1 feet variance for a resulting 0.4-foot side yard setback. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions at this
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Come forward, please. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Could you give us your name and address to start?
Eddie Young, 924 Celadon Street, Winter Garden, Florida.
All right, thank you. If you could just tell us a little bit about your variance request.
The history with me and this property is I purchased the property next door, adjacent to it, back in 1993. And while I lived there, I ended up purchasing this lot. And then I went to the wrong procedure, but I called the tax collector and joined the 2 lots as one. So unbeknownst to me, I applied for a permit to build a structure on this lot as one combined lot under the 2006 address. And then I built it and finished it, and then about a year later, I'm in the construction industry, so my business is economy-driven. So I had some problems. So I went back to the tax collector and divided the property, and then come to find out years later, I needed the setback requirements because I actually built the building now too close to the property line. So I'm a longtime resident of Hillsborough County. My dad graduated from Chamberlain High School. I went to Chamberlain High School. So I'm just trying to get this variance so I can put this behind me. The residence is currently, I'm trying to get an application, a building permit application through. So this is one of the processes to get to that goal. I met all the requirements. I came forward with this. There's no code violation tickets, so I just want to try to clear this up and get this variance.
Let me ask you, when you applied for the permit for originally it was a carport when you were living on the other property?
Originally, yes,
Did
ma'am.
the county issue that permit?
They did. They issued the permit and inspected, and it was the reason I remember it so well is because they made me do a subterranean termite on middle building spray. So, but yes, they did.
Okay. I believe that was my only question. Does that complete your presentation?
That does.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the
Thank you
clerk.
so much.
Thank you. All right. We'll ask for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? No one. All right, Ms. Marshall?
Nothing further.
Sir, you can have the last word or not. It's up to you. You're good. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll close variance 25-0591 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H2, variance 250598. The applicant is Scar Audio Incorporated. The request is a variance to fence and wall requirements and a variance to landscaping requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Carolyn Peddle.
Good morning.
Good morning. Carolyn Peddle, Development Services, variance 250598. The applicant is requesting a variance for existing wall on the property located on the southeast quarter of Gun Highway and Cosmo Road. Per LD Section 60702C1A, walls over 4 feet in height shall not be located within required front yards except under certain circumstances which do not apply to this case. The request is for 4 feet, resulting in an 8-foot high wall around the entire property. Per Section 60702C1F, the maximum wall height shall be 6 feet except for under certain circumstances that do not apply to this case. The request is for 2 feet to allow for an 8-foot high wall around the entire property. Per Section 60603I2A for rural scenic roadways. In rural areas in the Res 1 Comprehensive Land Use Plan classification, there shall be a 30-foot scenic easement provided, which shall be left in a natural state unless actively used for agricultural purposes. The variance is to allow an 8-foot high wall to be placed inside the scenic corridor, resulting in to allow for the existing wall to remain in the scenic easement. Per my findings, the property received a citation from the Building and Construction Services for failure to provide residential new construction and additional permits for electrical, plumbing, rough-in work, the perimeter wall, and other structures. The record number is in my staff report. And then for fences and wall requirements in the design section of 30806 for the Keystone Odessa Community Plan is required for developers, homeowners associations, or similar entities and would not be required for this application. That concludes my report.
I just have a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start from the beginning. Would a permit be required for a wall, for a masonry wall, if it met the appropriate height standards and were out of that 30-foot scenic easement? Would they have to get a permit if they could meet these standards?
I believe so, yes.
They would have to have a permit. Okay, thank you. And a couple more. The applicant says in their response to criteria number 1, the variance criteria number 1, that the 8-foot wall is permitted along the Gun Highway segment. Is that correct?
Yes, it's kind of
If there is no access to the road, they would be permitted up to 8 feet in height because it's a collector arterial roadway.
But there is an access
There is
to
an
gun.
access point.
Okay, so it is not permitted in this configuration on
Correct.
Gun Highway? Okay. Then, and is it true, I saw in their responses that a portion of this wall extends into the right-of-way currently? Is that correct?
I believe it's in the site triangle.
Ah, okay, all right. So that would have to be altered no matter what?
Yes.
Understood. And then my last question is, the applicant in their justification for this cites several examples of other 8-foot walls that appear to me, in reviewing the backup, that most of them are subdivision walls. And there is one that is associated with a single-family home. Are you familiar with that? With their examples?
I am not familiar with examples, no.
Okay. And under subdivision regulations, you're allowed to have an 8-foot wall if it's along a collector arterial, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in single-family examples, such as this, you would have to obtain a variance or something similar if you were going to have access from that collector arterial and have the 8-foot wall. It would require a variance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That was my only question. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Ah, thank you. That's very nice. Okay, good morning. My name is Michael Hoffman, PE, Advanced Engineering Consultants, LLC. My address is 10,009 Gallant Lane, Tampa, Florida, 33625. I'm here representing the applicant, Scar Audio, Inc., regarding the variance application BAR 25-0598 for the property located at 8312 Cosme Road. The applicant is requesting the following two variances: allowing an 8-foot perimeter wall surrounding the entire property, and secondly, allowed the wall to be located on the required 30-foot scenic corridor, which is established by the Gun Highway Rural Corridor per LDC Section 6.06.03.1.2.a. So, with that said, so this, first of all, regarding the wall height. So we recognize this exceeds the 6-foot maximum permitted height under the Hillsborough County Land Development Code 6.07.02. We feel the subject property is uniquely located or positioned at the intersection of the Collector Road, Cosme Road, and an arterial roadway, Gun Highway, requiring enhanced screening and security measures to address impacts from higher traffic volume and adjacent land uses. The property is ASCE-1 agricultural single-family conventional 1 unit per acre and has a future land use designation of R1 residential. It is bordered by institutional single-family residential and agricultural properties, which presents unique challenges in balancing privacy, noise mitigation, and security for the resident. Under LDC Section 607.02.c.1.h, an 8-foot wall is permitted along arterial roadways. However, the remaining property boundaries are limited to 6 foot in height. This creates an inconsistent barrier along the perimeter, diminishing overall security and functional effectiveness. This variance seeks to resolve this inconsistency by permitting an 8-foot wall on all sides of the property. The property wall will be set 2 foot from the property line along Cosme Road, aside from the portion of the wall along Gun Highway, which will be set back 10 foot. In addition, the applicant requests a variance to allow the 8-foot wall to be located within the required 30-foot scenic corridor established by the Gun Highway Rural Scenic Corridor per LDC Section 6.06.03.1.2a. I should make mention that reference was an incorrect reference in our application, we're citing a Dale Mabry citation. The correct section is as I just stated, which is the same 30-foot setback. The scenic corridor applies along Gun Highway, an arterial roadway, and it is intended to preserve visual quality and enhance the aesthetic experience for the traveling public. To respect the intent of the scenic corridor designation, the wall will be placed at the maximum permitted setback of 10 feet from the corridor boundary, preserving ample room for landscape treatments. A robust planting design will be measured. A robust planting design will be implemented within a 30-foot corridor, including an 8-foot tall hedge, royal palms, and supplemental ornamental species. These elements will soften the appearance of the wall and maintain the visual openness envisioned by the overlay district. On all other boundaries other than Gun Highway, the wall will be placed 2 feet from the property line. The proposed wall will be constructed of high-quality masonry materials with architectural detailing, ensuring a visually appealing design that complements the surrounding development context and exceeds typical privacy wall standards. Any existing wall segments currently located within a public right-of-way will be removed and reconstructed in compliance with the location requirements set forth in the LDC. This dual variance request promotes consistency and security along the property perimeter. So then we move on to the variance criteria responses. Unique hardship or practical difficulties. The hardships associated with this variance request are unique to the subject property due to its location on a corner lot with frontage along both an arterial and collector road. While other properties in the area may be subject to height restrictions, this property is uniquely impacted because LDC section 6.07.02.c.1.h permits an 8-foot wall along Gun Highway but restricts the remaining perimeter to 6 feet. This creates an inconsistent barrier. I won't go into all the vernacular I just previously described. The properties adjacent to the institutional, residential, and agricultural land use increases privacy concerns and exposure to incompatible uses. In particular, the agricultural and institutional uses generate increased traffic within the vicinity, reinforcing the necessity for higher walls to mitigate impacts and ensure greater privacy for the subject property. Additionally, the wall has already been constructed, and requiring its complete removal would impose a substantial financial burden on the applicant. However, the applicant is fully prepared to demolish and reconstruct only the portions of the wall that encroach into the right-of-way to ensure compliance. The hardship is unique and not commonly encountered by similarly situated properties, further justifying the requested consideration. Number 2, deprivation of rights under the LDC. The literal enforcement of the LDC would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district. Specifically, many properties within similar zoning classifications are permitted to construct 8-foot walls when fronting arterial roads, but due to this property's unique corner lot status, only a partial perimeter wall at 8 foot is permitted, creating an inequitable restriction. Without this variance, the property is exposed to increased noise levels, security concerns, and diminished privacy, all of which would be mitigated with a uniform 8-foot perimeter wall. And then we cite several examples of where there have been these exceedances. Single-family residence at 9921 Surya Kiran Place, Tampa, features perimeter walls exceeding 8 foot in height, enclosing the entire property. The parcel situated on a corner lot similar to the subject property, and then I referred to C figure 10 and 11 in what was submitted. Then there's Keystone Manor subdivision is enclosed by 8 foot, 8-inch walls along its entire perimeter, located along Gun Highway, like the subject property. This subdivision includes a wall height exceeding 8-foot limit, see figures 12 and 13. The subdivision at 8806 Bayou Drive, Tampa, maintains a consistent 9-foot, 6-inch perimeter wall height, enclosing the entire neighborhood, including those not adjacent to the roadways, see figure 14 and 15. The Sheldon West subdivision features a 9-foot perimeter wall height, enclosing the entire neighborhood, including those not adjacent to the roadways, see figures 16 and 17. Pardon me. Okay. That's my 9 o'clock standard Zoom with my staff. Granting this variance would provide the same protections and rights as other similarly situated properties, ensuring fair and equitable application of the Land Development Code. Number 3, no substantial interference with neighboring properties. The property owner began preliminary construction activities under the assumption that all necessary approvals were forthcoming. However, construction documents are still being finalized and permit applications remain in progress. This is as of the writing of this, this statement. As a result, the county has issued a violation order, HC-CE-25-000455, and there's been a stop work order issued in compliance with, to ensure compliance with all regulatory requirements. The owner is actively working to resolve the matter in coordination with the appropriate authorities. The proposed variance will not interfere with or injure the rights of neighboring properties because the wall is consistent with existing land development patterns, particularly for properties along arterial roads where increased screening and noise mitigations are essential. The wall will enhance privacy for adjacent residential properties rather than negatively impact them. Sightline concerns have been addressed by ensuring that all structures comply with the Hillsborough Site Triangle requirements, LDC section 6.04.03.f. The variance will ensure that the property maintains aesthetically appropriate and functional screening, enhancing the overall neighborhood character. Number 4, alignment with the intent and purpose of the LDC and comprehensive plan. The variance is fully in harmony with the LDC and comprehensive plan, which emphasize public health, safety, and welfare, citing LDC section 1.02.02. The 8-foot wall enhances security and privacy, providing the safer environment for the residents. Neighborhood compatibility, comprehensive plan section 1.02.03. The variance will preserve the character of the surrounding area, reduce conflicts between incompatible land uses, and promote community stability. Flexibility for unique site conditions. The comprehensive plan supports accommodating unique land use challenges. The corner lot's exposure to high traffic roads necessitates enhanced screening, justifying the need for an 8-foot uniform perimeter. Number 5, not a self-imposed hardship. This variance request is not the result of an illegal act or a self-imposed hardship. The site conditions and regulatory framework necessitate this variance. The applicant is not seeking relief due to personal design preferences. The corner lot location and road classifications impose unique privacy, noise, and security concerns requiring a higher level of screening. Okay. The LDC's arbitrary 6-foot restriction on portions of the perimeter creates a hardship beyond the applicant's control. Number 6, substantial justice and public benefit. Granting the variance will ensure substantial justice, balancing public benefit and individual property rights. The public interest is preserved as the variance does not negatively impact adjacent properties, traffic safety, or community aesthetics. The wall has already been constructed, and requiring its removal would impose an undue hardship without delivering any corresponding public benefit. The variance ensures the property remains consistent with the surrounding development pattern while maintaining the highest standards of security and privacy. Failure to grant this variance would create an ineffective and inconsistent barrier, subjecting the property to unnecessary exposure, noise intrusion, and security risks. Allowing the 8-foot perimeter ensures equitable treatment under the LDC, which is also aligned with community planning objectives. I would also just real quickly mention, we have some photographic information at the end of that report that compares before and after. And, you know, as I look at these photos and the aesthetics of what he has right there, I think it offers no detriment to the public. So those are my closing remarks.
All right, I have a number of questions. I've read all of the backup and seen the pictures, and I want to start with your criteria responses state that the 8-foot wall is needed due to privacy, noise, and security concerns. But there isn't any evidence submitted other than that statement that that's a fact. And so are there crime statistics, calls for police, anything that backs up why the 8-foot is necessary?
What I will tell you is my client, his corporation purchased this property. He's a very avid tennis player, okay? And his vision for this property is he wants to have charitable tennis events, and because this is not his personal residence, okay? He just wants a private area to have these tennis events, and that's part of the rationale.
All right, and has he secured with the county that that is a permitted use on this property?
It's a single-family residence, and he's using it for his own private function, so it's not a commercial situation. It's strictly, he loves tennis courts.
Okay. All right. And then the narrative said that the construction of the wall began assuming all necessary approvals were forthcoming. What does that mean?
So my client, sometimes he gets ahead of himself and builds stuff. He had one facility that was a small, like a pool house, a pool house tile structure that was up against one of his tennis courts.
On this property?
On this property. He was red tagged on that. I went out as an engineer and said, Kevin, there are too many things that are not code compliant with this structure, and he demolished it. Okay? So now he understands he's going to involve professional engineering help in his future endeavors.
And was that prior to the construction of this wall?
No, the wall was there first, and then he constructed that structure. And then I said, Kevin, you need to, demolish your structure.
All right. And is it the measurement of the wall? Is it, I've seen the pictures, is it accurate to say the wall is 6 feet and the columns are 8, or are the columns up to 8 so the wall height is higher?
I'm looking at it, and it appears that the top of the columns is 8 foot, but I would have to verify that.
Okay. All right. So the maximum height you're talking about is 8 feet. I understand. Yeah. Okay. All right. While you're here, just one second, let me ask Ms. Dorman of the County Attorney's Office, in the applicant's justification, they say that the wall is built. It's a significant wall, and that the financial burden is a hardship that would be imposed upon this property owner if the variance were denied. Are financial considerations something that should be considered in the decision for a variance application?
Does the applicant mean that the cost of construction of the wall is the financial hardship?
The wall is there, and the cost
Yes.
that they incurred to build the wall, and then the cost to demolish the wall is a hardship, is what they're alleging.
Yes. I think that generally, no. So.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, sir. I believe that's all I have for the moment. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if you could please sign in with the clerk's office. All right. At this time, we'll call for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor of this application? All right. Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition that would like to speak? All right. Come on up. But how many people in the room do we have that would like to speak? If you could raise your hands, just so I can get a count. So 1 at the podium, 2 in the audience. Is that it? All right. And then let me see. I do have.
And 1 online.
And 1 online, right. Okay. So we have 4 people. So Allison, let's give them 4 minutes apiece, to be fair. And if you want to allocate that to someone else, you can. But let's start with the person in the room, unless you had an order you wanted to go in.
No, I'm going to be quick.
Okay. Give us your name and address. I appreciate
Melissa
it.
Nordbeck, 19810 Hiawatha Road, Keystone. I'm glad that the applicant stated that the wall was already built, because the entire presentation kept using the words proposed. This wall was not only built, but even after being informed by several neighbors and Keystone Civic Association that there were some requirements that maybe he wasn't aware of, the wall was continued construction. He put in a sidewalk, which is also against Keystone Comprehensive Plan, continued landscaping, and was basically told that, this is agriculture. I can do what I'd like on this property. I'm also glad you brought up the hardship. You can't create your own hardship and then claim a hardship. And we don't want to set a precedent in Keystone. We vigorously defend our comprehensive plan, and that is our scenic corridor. That is our route through town. And if we have wall after wall after wall down Gun Highway, it's going to look like Fort Lauderdale eventually, with a whole mismatch of walls. The examples that were cited were not in Keystone of existing walls, with the exception of Keystone Manors, which was built in the 1980s, well before Keystone Comp Plan and LDC. I guess what I'm trying to say is we want to defend our comp plan with the rules. I mean, we have rules for a reason. This individual definitely doesn't seem to think they apply to him, whether it's any permit, but we really need to make sure we're not setting a precedent. We don't have any other 8-foot walls in Keystone in a resident except for one, and that person has been in code enforcement hearings for the last year, trying to keep his wall. And again, we have the same issue with that as well, even though it's not a scenic corridor. So that's all I have for you.
Let me just ask one question
Yes.
based on that point. The applicant cited a number of examples of 8-foot walls.
Yes.
And you're saying those subdivision walls are not in Keystone?
Are not in Keystone, not a one of them.
They did cite one single family. Is that the residence you're talking about?
I
that's in code
believe so. He
enforcement?
did not tell me the address of that one, but there is an 8-foot wall that has been that was challenged and has been ongoing for a year now.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Please sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
All right, next speaker. Next person that would like to speak. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, if you put it on, they'll pull it up for me. There you go. Thank you.
My name is Beth White, and I'm here on behalf of the Keystone Civic Association. We oppose this variance and ask that you deny 250598. There are two addresses for this property, 12011 Gun Highway and 8312 Cosme Road. Deliveries are made to the 12011 Gun Highway address. The owner states in their variance request, the property owner began preliminary construction activities under the assumption that all necessary approvals were forthcoming. Last fall, the owner removed 20 large oak trees, leveled the land, and began construction to build a wall around the property. This work was done without permits more than a month before the certified parcel acceptance letter was received in October 2024. The Keystone Odessa Community Plan addresses fencing and walls in Section 3.08.08 of the Hillsborough County Land Development Code, specifically 3.08.06 design that addresses height, setbacks, and fencing material allowed in Keystone Odessa. This property is on Gun Highway, the designated scenic roadway in Keystone Odessa, so the setback, buffering, and screening of the fence or wall shall be regulated by Article 6 of this code. The examples of the other walls given in this variance are not located in Keystone Odessa. This variance is inconsistent with surrounding development. It is not compatible with the neighboring homes, nor does it preserve the character of the rural Keystone Odessa community. Any and all unique hardships or practical difficulties shown by the owner are self-created. Additionally, the wall has already been constructed, and requiring its complete removal would impose a substantial financial burden on the applicant. This owner has amassed daily fines by ignoring a stop work order by the county. The owner elects to pay daily fines rather than removing the unpermitted wall. An owner still must plant, donate, or pay into the tree restoration fund at a total of $25,220. There is no declaration of rights, as an unpermitted solid masonry wall goes against Florida Building Code, the Hillsborough County LDC, and the Keystone Odessa Community Plan. Owner is asking for forgiveness, not permission, with this variance, and we ask that you please deny. And I have additional letters of opposition I brought with me today.
Thank you. Before you leave, if you could give us your address for the record, please.
My address is 17905 Burrell Road, Odessa.
Thank you so much. And feel free to submit whatever you'd like into the record. Can we have the next speaker, please? Good morning.
Good morning. All right. My name is Arthur Smith. I live 2 lots down from this corner on Cosme.
Could you give us your exact address?
10035 Gun Highway.
Thank you so much.
I've been out there since '77. A lot of the people don't know me out there because I know some people across the street at the lake and just in the area. Grew up out there. I didn't know about this right here, this meeting, until 2 days ago. I went to Miss Martin's house, and she told me this was going on. And I said, man, I got to get down here and see what happens in situations like this. So Andy Norris was the roadway guy over there at Sheldon Road. And my concern was always keeping that ditch cleaned out for the up there at Cosme Road, the culvert pipe. Because every time the storms hit, I'm flooded. So the gentleman, I met him, be a nice guy, whatever, man. I just said, look, whatever you do, don't flood me. So you see the ditch right now, it's sloped different. And I was like, man, here's another person just doing whatever. Like I said, I just came down here to see what happens in this kind of situation, because I was talking with Joanna Martin, and I said, man, I'm going to get down here and see how this is handled. For or against it, that's not my decision, but whatever's going on, I've been out there, man, 6 days a week, construction, and something happened with one of those oak trees, man, and it knocked out the power. And I went down there and told them, they said, well, it didn't fall on the line. Tico was down there for 2 days trying to give me power back, but he did show me on his phone the rendering of what was going to be built. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, man. So for all that time, it was just construction going on, but I didn't know about the stop work order until 2 days ago, but I heard it because I didn't hear no more machinery going on, and I'm like, well, something had to happen because it wasn't stopping because he wasn't finished. But we'll see what the results are in the end, But like I said, after torrential rains and stuff, man, I can't get out the driveway, So I've been calling the county to see about how they're going to handle the ditch situation because it can't stay like that. So sod had been installed in the ditch, and when you put sod in there, the water ain't gonna flow. So I got septic tank and a well water, and I got video, man, of the drain coming out of there, and it's got to fill up going towards me before it gets up to go through the pipe to go into the lake north of me. So I was just sitting back to see how this is going to be handled, And you say it don't affect neighbors. I guess I'm one. But that's about it.
I appreciate you coming down and participating.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, if you could please just sign in with the clerk's office so we have your information. Thank you very much. All right, we have one last speaker that I believe is online.
Nancy Paderaki, 18128 Gun Highway, Odessa, Florida. So last year, 3-acre property at 8312 Cosme Road was acquired by Star Audio. They're a foreign for-profit company located in an industrial park over in St. Petersburg.
Ms. Paderaki, I very much apologize for interrupting you, but the county requires that we also have your video to speak, not just your audio. So can you turn your camera on?
Yep.
There you are. Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
These new owners removed the compliant fencing around the existing home, the existing tennis courts. They cleared the land down to the dirt. They erected a tall mason wall around the entire property line. The two opaque entry gates, one on Gun Highway and one on Cosby Road, are tightly paneled wood. Atop each wall pillar is a vertical conduit used for lights and camera electricity. The land use changes are a gross departure and inconsistent with the community, the Keystone Plan, and the county code. And quite frankly, they are alarming. Why would a rural residential home need such intense privacy and security and two entries? There are only thick woods to the south, a field and rural homes to the east, and the house faces Cosby Road, a very narrow, windy road, a half a mile long with few homes, and it ends at a dirt road. Needless to say, there's not much traffic on Cosby Road. To the west is Gun Highway. I have lived on Gun Highway for decades, and unlike Scar Auto Inc., we kept our rural vegetation and mature trees for residential comfort for both privacy and shade. And just 1/10 of a mile north are two brand new homes. One was already planted landscaping to provide privacy from Gun Highway. On the county appraiser's website, a comparison of the 2024 to 25 aerial photos of this site revealed what appears to be a very large structural foundation, which further raises the question, what activity does Scar Auto Inc. plan to conduct in this residential agricultural community zoned ASC1? Just yesterday, I was greeted with smiles and waves by young boys riding their bikes along Cosby Road. This area is not zoned for business storage, warehouse, or the comings and goings of large trucks. In fact, only 2 axle vehicles are allowed on the north end of Gun Highway. Based on what I've read and heard today, the required permits were not obtained and the county codes were violated. So how can you trust a property owner who has already broken multiple rules to live by the rules, especially if their activities are concealed behind a fortress? Approving this variance after the fact will set a precedent for anyone to violate zoning standards and only apply for variance if a complaint is filed. And it would be disrespectful, very disrespectful, to the Keystone community, especially those of us that live on the arterial road Gun Highway and follow the rules. Deny this variance.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. All right, seeing no one in opposition, we'll go back to Development Services. Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Just want to clarify one thing for the record. If they plan to hold outdoor charitable events, it would require a neighborhood fair permit, and it would have to be for a nonprofit organization.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, then we'll go back to the applicant. The applicant has 5 minutes for rebuttal.
So I've heard the concerns, and you know, my client, in his passion to build some of his tennis courts, and in preparation for that, obviously went forward without the right counsel of an engineer. And you know, he's a young guy, and he may not have fully understood all of what he was getting into at the time, but it wasn't in any nefarious or, you know, malice to the community or anything of that nature. He just, you know, started ordering material, started doing stuff, and like I said to him, I said, listen, there's a better way to do this, okay? Like I said, it pains me, but you're going to have to demolish that pool structure that you put up. Going forward, he's not going to put a commercial site there or some concern about some big commercial facility. That's not his intent. Like I said, it's for him to host private functions, you know, surrounding his tennis theme. So I just want to allay that concern. Secondly, regarding stormwater, whatever stormwater provisions will end up being there, we'll make sure that they're sloped properly and that they don't impede the passage of water the way it should be. That's why he hired me. okay? So I think that's what I have to indicate to you, what he's indicated to me. It's like, Mike, going forward, we're going to do it all right, correctly, okay? So close with those thoughts.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0598 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H3, variance 250610. The applicant is Lit Creation Idlewild LLC. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Chris Granlenard.
Good morning.
Good morning. Chris Granlenard, a planner with Development Services. I'm here to present variance 25-6610. The applicant requests to increase the maximum height of the industrial warehousing development within the SPI AP4 zoning district from 35 feet to 50 feet. The requested variance is to LDC section 6.01.01. The requirement is within the SPI AP4 zoning district, the maximum height permitted is 35 feet. Their variance requested is for 15 feet, which would result in a 50-foot building height. Findings, in the record, they provided from the Federal Aviation Administration an issued determination of no hazard to air navigation letters for the 3 warehouse buildings at the height of 50 feet above ground level. Also, a portion of the folio is in the SPI AP5 zoning district. That's like a small corner to the northeast, which is 70 feet, but the majority is in the SPI AP4 zoning district. Concludes my staff report. Glad to answer any questions.
No questions at this time. Thank you so much. Is the applicant here?
Cool.
Good morning.
Hi. My name is Luke Georgiadis. My address is 1200 North 52nd Street, Phoenix, Arizona, 85008. I'm just going to do a quick intro of the project and we'll turn it over to land use. Like I said, I'm a principal with Creation Equity. We're a real estate investment development business. We were founded in Phoenix in 2017. We're actually opening an office here in Tampa, and this is our first project here in the state of Florida, which we're very excited about. As you'll see from the deck here, we're proposing a 3-building, 307,000-foot Class A logistics project. As with most projects across our portfolio, we really try to place an emphasis on the appearance, aesthetics, and also the functionality of the buildings. So from an appearance perspective, we're using heavy amounts of glass, glazing, storefronts, a thoughtful, colorful paint scheme, and we're trying to have an environmentally conscious design. From a functional perspective, we've just designed the site to have the enhanced architecture pointed outwards towards the public. We're screening our truck courts, and most importantly, we're designing the site and the buildings themselves to the latest and greatest industry standards. So I'd like to turn it over to Elise Stearns-Weaver to walk you through the variance portion of this.
Thank you so much. If you don't mind signing in on your way
Sure.
up. Okay. And Ms. Batzel, I don't see a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. It's here on the screen.
Okay. There you go. Now I do.
Good morning. Elise Batzel with Stearns Weaver Miller on behalf of the applicant. We do have materials to submit to the record.
Okay.
I'm going to skip past some of the information about Creation Equities if you'd like to peruse it. We also have a number of architectural renderings in the materials that we're submitting. Just so that you can see, this is the site plan. There's 3 warehouse buildings, and the request is for an increase in the building height up to 50 feet. So very quickly, and I won't go over these in detail, we do believe that we've submitted all of the requirements under 11.04.02. Specifically, this modern industrial development really increases what we call a new clear height, and it's the height inside the building for all of the modern machinery and the racking systems that are used in these industrial warehousing developments. There is a range from 32 feet to 47 feet of clear height, and so the request here is for 50 feet to ensure that to the extent that there's various tenants that come in from time to time, they can actually use the most appropriate modern equipment. It also furthers the intent of the SP1 AP zoning district. They're basically regulatory districts that are regulated based on their proximity to the Tampa International Airport. The intent is to enable the airport to operate efficiently and safely in accordance with the provisions of the comprehensive plan. Consistent with this, we, on February 20th of 2025, received our FAA determination allowing a height up to 79 feet above the mean sea level. There are also similar variances approved by the county. I believe actually you were the hearing officer that approved this. Once you look through the materials, you might see it. It's directly to the south. I'm going to show you a map just so that you can see the proximity. That was variance 22-0715, which allowed height increase of 7 feet. The variance also is really internal to the site, surrounded by other industrial developments with very similar heights. And again, it's not self-imposed hardship. It's really just a function of the fact that the LDC hasn't yet caught up with the modern racking systems and the requirements of today's industrial and warehousing development. So this map is particularly interesting and important. If you look, these are all of the surrounding industrial buildings that have heights above the 30 feet. This is a more interesting map, and as you go through this record later, you'll see the split zoning districts. You can see where, if you look all the way to the south, 5402 Hanger Court, that's the variance that was granted for 42 feet. To the north, there are heights of 44 feet, 48 feet, and 44 feet. Our site is outlined in orange there.
So in this graphic, I'm sorry, in that graphic, the purple is all SPI AP4?
Correct.
And 3, which is that 35 feet.
That's right.
But if you go to 5, then it's 50 feet.
It's 70.
Oh, 70 feet.
That's
okay.
correct.
All right,
Isn't it,
thank you.
Colleen?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually 70 feet. So we're really right on that cusp.
Okay.
And with that, there's examples of other projects here for you to peruse, but we're here to answer any questions that you have with respect to the criteria.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Don't forget to sign in. All right. I'll call for anyone that would like to speak and support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? All right. No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Ms. Batzel, you have the last word if you'd like it.
Nothing further. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0610 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H4, variance 250638. The applicants are Thomas E. Marvin III and Casey L. Marvin. The request is a variance to flag lot access requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Joseph Reinbold.
Good morning.
Good morning. Joseph Reinbold, Development Services. Variance 25-0638. The applicant is requesting a variance to flag lot access requirements to allow for a flag lot in the urban service area. The subject parcel is part of a certified parcel subdivision application. Per LDC section 60201B4, a flag lot may be created to serve a single parcel provided the subdivision is located within the rural area and in an agricultural zoning district. The property is in the urban service area, so it requires the variance.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Morning.
Morning, hearing officer. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is variance 25-0638, which is presented to you is to allow a new flag lot within the urban service area. Zoning is ASC1. It's a little tricky how these parcels were handled, so I'm going to walk you through that very clearly and carefully. In September of 22, this was the original lot. I'm just going to, for purpose of discussion, I'm going to call it 0.4000, as you can see in the folio. So this was the original lot. It only has one access out to Pearson Road. 0.4000 was converted on December 16, 2022, to this grade square. So the original parcel, 87251.4000, was converted to the area shown here. And what was the original parcel becomes the new parcel, 87251.40425. So that's how these changes occurred through the property appraiser's office. So under the current property appraiser map, you have what I'm calling the new, that's just my designation, which was the original, and which created the flag lot, and then what remains of 0.4000, which was part of the original. So again, that's a little bit funky, but I see you're nodding, so I think I walked you through that pretty clearly.
You did. Thank you.
Okay. Meets all the lot requirements, is the only variance that's proposed today. So I think on first blush and on a real quick first look, you could quickly come to a conclusion that was self-created because it was drawn and the drawing created a flag lot. But as I looked at this closely and thought about it for quite a bit of time, what became apparent to me is that the original lot had a unique shape. Its original shape, it has a single access, provides direct access for the new parcel. I believe it's the most efficient and best placed, particularly having to live in the constraints of the code in terms of size of the new parcel, frontage, and those elements. So when you look at the parcels surrounding, and this is the original shape of the parcel, there are some parcels that are other uniquely shaped, not the same as this. It is uniquely and singularly shaped. So if you were drawing a pencil or with a pencil as to where the best place is to create this new lot, it would be as it was done in this configuration. So just for example, you wouldn't put the potential lot in the center. It wouldn't have direct access. It breaks up the original lot, and has plenty of area to provide for the lot. So when looking at the creation, considering constraints of the original shape, the single access to Pearson, to provide the most efficient and best placed location, and living constraints of the code of how large and shape the new lot would have to be, the conclusion I came to is that there is a hardship and singularity that was not created by the applicant. There's no negative impacts created. It just provides one additional access road on Pearson Road for one single-family home. There's no injurious impacts. I noticed 29 owners and 10 HOAs. As of, I think when I checked on Friday, there was nothing online in terms of any emails or communications that I was aware of. So looking at the criteria, which I referred to, number one, hardship, practical difficulty, which are unique and singular, in terms of depriving rights commonly enjoyed by others, to create a lot that is to code standards, will not substantially interfere with the original rights of others. We don't see how this has any impact to adjacent or even nearby properties. It's a single-family home with one single access out to Pearson. It does follow the general intent and purpose of the LDC. It creates a lot that's the standards. I've asked around, as a little side detour, I have asked around and tried to research why there's an aversion to flag lots in the urban area, and quite frankly, never really got a good answer. I even asked Colleen to determine the reason for it, because that's always something I like to do, is to understand why that code is in place and to address it. But there really was no response as to why it is in adverse condition. quite frankly. As I've indicated, does not result from a legal act, result of the action of the applicant. And 6, will result in substantial justice being done concerning both the public benefits and the individual hardships. So with that, we appreciate your attention and consideration. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I do. I have a couple questions. And they go back to, it starts with the project description in your application and your request, your actual variance request. The narrative talks about that the Marvins, who are the applicant in this case, and they're, I guess, a corporation that they hired, submitted for a certified parcel in November of 2021.
To my understanding, that wasn't completed, I believe.
Okay.
I didn't write, I should clarify, I did not write up the application. They did. Normally I do. They had submitted it and filed and was processing, and then I came in after the fact of the application.
Okay, because the deed that's in the backup is from 2020, and the Marvins are not a party to that. And then in 2023, there's an additional deed that's also in the backup that's a quitclaim deed that deeds the property from the Prices to the Marvins. So it didn't seem that they were in the process, as I track the ownership here, in 2021 for that certified parcel. So if you can't answer that, that's fine. Is there a copy of that certified parcel? Was it, or you're saying that was never completed?
My completion,
or approved?
I thought I discussed that with Colleen, trying to get up to speed, and my understanding is that that was never completed, but is that, I don't want to speak for Colleen.
That's correct.
Okay.
It was submitted, the initial submittal was in November 2021, and then there was a resubmittal in, it was in October of 24. However, there's still outstanding comments, so it had not been approved.
I see, thank you. And so there's no, on parcel 4025, there's no structure on that parcel currently, is that correct? That's the subject of the variance that needs the flag lot.
I should know that, but I can't say that 100%. I'd have to look at an aerial, just under oath and all that. I'm just not 100% sure of that.
Okay, but there is a house on the 4,000, the house that actually fronts Pearson, or the lot.
By my memory, yes.
Okay. Ms. Marshall, do you know if there's a structure based on a review of the aerial on that 4025?
There's not.
There's not. All right. So all of this is in anticipation of building something on that lot to utilize the flag lot.
That's my understanding.
Okay. All right. And then my last question is, I think you covered this in your presentation, but just for the record, have you heard from any of the neighbors? There seem to be 2 lots to the north that directly abut this proposed flag lot.
I did receive one call from a woman. To my memory, she was not the abutting, but she was further up Pearson, spoke, and that was the last communication I had with her.
All right. That was the end of my questions.
Thank you
you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anyone that would like to speak in support of this application? Anyone in favor? All right. Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to this request? No one. All right. Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right. Mr. Pressman, anything before we close? Thank you. All right. Thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0638. I think it's appropriate to take a 5-minute break. So if by the clock on the back of the wall, if you could be back, let's just call it 10:20, and we'll resume the rest of the hearing. Thank you so much. right, welcome back to the May 27th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. We're going to resume the remainder of the agenda with the next case. Ms. Marshall.
Next item is item H5, variance 250654. The applicant is Thomas John Burke. The request is a variance to distance separation requirements for a community residential home. Staff findings will be presented by Tanya Chapella.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tanya Chapella, Development Services. Per the Land Development Code, Section 61128A, community residential homes housing 6 or fewer residents shall not be located within a radius of 1,000 feet of another such existing home with 6 or fewer residents. The applicant is requesting a 70 feet variance to the community residential home distance separation to accommodate a type A community residential home on the subject property. This is to allow a 930-foot distance separation to existing community residential home. This one is located at 2416 Kingsway Road. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Morning. Come forward. If you could start by giving us your name and address. Thank you.
My name is Thomas Burke. My address is 207 West Wheeler Road, Sefner, Florida.
Thank you. If you could tell us a little bit about your application for the variance.
So my application, first of all, I'm here. I moved from Clearwater to Sefner, Florida, with the intent of purchasing a house that I would convert into an assisted living type A facility. For the purpose of the older community, it's kind of a way for me to give back at the time. I had lived my life in corporate office, working in IT, and I wanted to do something a little different, something a little more meaningful. So in 2019, I applied for zoning verification from Hillsborough County, received it. Life happened, and I had some setbacks, and I was unable to finish my project because I had a lot of work to do on it, such as when I bought the house, there was a full service bar with beautiful glass mirrors and a dance floor and a hearth that I had to change out. So I put in a bedroom, and so there's a lot of stuff that got in the way. So 2023 came around, and of course that was all through COVID too. And so things slowed down, everything slowed down. 2023, I got momentum going again. In 2023, I again applied for zoning verification, received it from Hillsborough County. And by that time, another facility had opened up on 2416 South Kingsway. And at the time, the application for the zoning verification from Hillsborough County points to a tool called mapdevelopers.php distance from to dot, and you plug in the source address and you plug in the to address, and my address came up 1,076 feet from that facility. I'm like, fantastic. It's more than 1,000. So this 2025 comes around, and again, I had more personal setbacks. My mother recently had a stroke, and we had to prepare and handle that. And she lives in Ohio, and luckily my sister lives with her, so I had to help her. It was a devastating situation. So getting back to the variance here, the hardship I prepared and submitted with the application, with the variance application, as a variance addendum. the name escapes me. But I submitted that as an additional comment, and in there, and I pointed out the tool that's listed in the zoning application and its inaccuracies, and currently it's not even reporting 209, 207, 205, 203, 201 homes on the north side of West Wheeler Road. If you plug in those addresses, you'll see that I think they line up to either 203 West Wheeler Road or 201 West Wheeler Road. Anyway, that addendum that I submitted with the application also has a little research performed by Ms. Colleen Marshall, and thank you for that, Colleen Marshall. I didn't quote you in that, so I apologize. And that research is such that in 2020, I believe, that facility was licensed with ACA. And even though it was licensed, it still didn't, it wasn't identified in my 2023 zoning verification. So again, at this point, I'm thinking everything is fantastic. I know about that facility. I know that it's out of range. I know that I'll be, I know that it'll go through again in 2025. So submit the application, and I got a message, I got an email from Sam Bell, and he said, you're 930 feet, 0.44 feet away from this other facility, so you're going to have to get a variance. So I applied for the variance, and here we are. I'm asking for a variance to section 6.11.28a. 1,000 distance separation shall exist between community residential, homes type A, and really it's 69.56, but that's my case.
All right, I just had a couple of questions. You answered the first one, which was what were the sign-offs you got, but you explained that those were zoning verifications.
Yeah.
Okay. And then lastly, have you heard from any of your neighbors regarding this variance request?
I've talked to my immediate neighbor. Yeah. But that was the only.
And were they okay with, they're supportive of your request?
Yeah, he said, gave me a little fatherly advice and sort of suggested that, he's concerned with the valuation of his property over time, and I acknowledge that. But again, in most of these cases where type A assisted living facility is in the neighborhood, they take care of their property. Most people don't even know they're there. The footprint is small. There's no excessive noise,
And you plan to have, obviously, no more than 6 residents?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Those are my only questions, unless you had anything you wanted to add.
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you so much. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, we'll call for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor of this application? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to the request? All right, no one. Ms. Marshall, anything you wanted to add?
Nothing further.
All right. Sir, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Okay, all right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0654 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H6, variance 25-0662. The applicant is Joanne Dennis. The request is a variance to lot development standards and a variance to accessory dwelling requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Chris Granlenard.
Good morning again. Chris Granlenard, Development Services. Here to present variance 25-0662. The applicant is requesting multiple setback variances to accommodate a single-family home and accessory dwelling on the subject property. The variances are to LDC section 6.01.01, a minimum 50-foot yard setback, a 50-foot front yard setback is required in the ASC 1 zoning district. They're looking to get a variance of 25 feet, which would result in a 25-foot front yard setback. The next variance is 6.01.01. A minimum 15-foot side yard setback is required in the ASC 1 zoning district. They're looking for a variance of 7 feet, resulting in an 8-foot side yard setback. The next variance is to 6.11.02.e and 6.01.01. An accessory dwelling shall meet principal building setbacks. A 15-foot side yard setback is required in the ASC 1 district. They're looking to get a variance of 7 feet, which would result in an 8-foot side yard setback for the accessory dwelling. The last variance is to 6.11.02.e and 6.01.01. An accessory dwelling shall meet a principal building setbacks. A 50-foot front yard setback is required in the ASC 1 zoning district. They're looking to get a variance of 25 feet, which would result in a 25-foot front yard setback for accessory dwelling for front yard functioning as a side yard. Findings, the subject parcel has been certified as a legal non-conforming lot under application NCL 06-1323 for its 0.54 acre lot size within the ASC 1 zoning district. Also, the applicant has confirmed that the primary and accessory dwelling will be oriented to face towards 36th Avenue South. That concludes my staff report. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
None at this time, but thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning. If you please come forward. Just give us your name and address before you begin.
Yes, hi, I'm Joanne Dennis, and I'm currently at 5405 36th Avenue South. The address is at 3602 South 54th Street. Hopefully this will be rather easy. Where I'm at currently is where my mother lives, and my lot is right next door. And so as they're getting older, I'm just hoping to be able to take care of my mother and my father. So that's why I'm trying to get permission to create an accessory dwelling and then have enough space to do all the things that we would like to do on the property as well. Having my father there, having my growing family there, and that's relatively it. I've been there since, in that neighborhood since I was 2 years old, and I'm now 40, know everyone in the neighborhood very well, and that's pretty much it.
And so there's nothing on this property right now?
No, it's vacant.
Okay. And you haven't heard from any of the neighbors in your conversations about they're opposed or anything like that?
No opposition, just ready to see me blossom.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone in favor of this application that would like to speak? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right. No one. Ms. Marshall?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ma'am, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Okay, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0662 and go to the last case.
This brings us to section I, special uses. Item I-1, special use 250408. The applicant is Harvest Time of Tampa Incorporated. The request is a special use for childcare and school. Sam Bob will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right. So in this case, of course, with special uses, the applicant goes first, right? And so, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Colin Rice of the law firm of Older Lundy, 1000 West Cass Street here in Tampa. I've been sworn here on behalf of Harvest Time of Tampa, the applicant. So I have a couple of visuals for you. Okay, so this may look a bit familiar. We're here on a modified application for a project that's been going on for some time now. The good news is we've resolved all concerns from staff and transportation, so we have a universally supported request, and I'll explain those changes briefly for you and answer any questions. And we do appreciate staff working with us. It's been a long road, and we're grateful for their involvement here. So Harvest Time acquired this property in 1971, and since 1978, they've been continuously operating as a church, child care center, and school. Today, we're only seeking to formalize the school and child care center uses. The church is going away, which has freed up this to be a compliant site. So to orient you again, this is an aerial from the staff report. Our site is wedged between the Crosstown and 301 and the Greater Palm River area within the urban service area. Comp plan designation is CME 12. All these proposed uses are allowed under the comp plan and land development code with a special use approval. So zooming in, it's several distinct zoning districts. The zoning code had kind of grown up around this site, but all of which permit the special uses we're seeking. To the north and west is self-storage. To the east is 301. To the south is a retention area in the Crosstown Expressway. To the north, providing access, this is owned by FDOT. We're not proposing to count any of those parking spaces. We've pulled it all entirely within the site. The gap in the middle is an old right-of-way that's been vacated. The site is unified. I'm talking about right here. So this is the site plan. There's a primary two-story structure built around 1990, a modular structure which had hosted church services. That will be removed and is proposed for on-site parking and queuing. It also includes outdoor play areas, other various accessory features for school and childcare. So this is the queuing plan. School uses in Hillsborough County require queuing, and the linear feet is based on number of students. So this is a queuing plan that's part of the record and acceptable by staff, accommodates the entire number of students proposed. And similarly, this is the parking plan. All required parking has been brought on site. So to conclude, we've come a long way. Again, we appreciate staff's assistance and support through this. And the main changes were it's all contained within the property boundaries. We had to shrink the scope of uses and scale a bit, but we're there. So with that, I'll conclude. We respectfully request your approval. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions at this time.
I'll submit these for the record.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Sam Ball of Development Services. The applicant is requesting a special use approval for an existing private school for students in kindergarten through 8th grade with up to 8 classrooms and 72 students, and a child care center with 4,600 square feet to accommodate up to 131 children. The existing church structure will be removed. The applicant is not requesting any waivers or variances. However, a 3-foot vehicular use area without screening variation was approved under special use 240625. The property abuts the Selman Expressway to the south and east. The properties to the west and north were developed for a mini warehouse, car wash, office, and a Department of Transportation owned park and ride facility. The development to the east of 301 includes a mix of multifamily residential and commercial uses. The west side of 301 is developed for a mix of non-residential uses. Based on the size and nature of the proposed school and child care uses, the predominance of office and commercial uses in the vicinity, and the adjacent uses, staff finds the proposed use, special use compatible with the area and recommends approval subject to conditions. Close my report if you have any questions.
Just to confirm on the record that the on-site parking and the queuing area all meets the land development code.
It is. We reviewed that, and
Perfect.
Everything was in compliance.
All right, thank you so much. That was it. All right, we'll ask for anyone that would like to speak in, oh, I'm sorry, I neglected to call on the Planning Commission for this case.
Yes, good morning. Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located in the Community Mixed Use 12 Future Land Use category. It is in the urban service area within the limits of the Greater Palm River Community Plan. The proposal the proposal for a private K-8 school and a child care center meets the intent of future land use section Objective 1 and Policy 3.1.3 regarding compatibility. It also meets Objective 4.6, which states that residential support uses are allowed in residential neighborhoods. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed special use consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now we'll call for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to this request? No one? All right. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Mr. Rice, you have the last word.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close special use GEN 25-0408 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.